Songa bro, unanilia.
Songa wapi mtu?
Money.
on standby. Well, we continue to give you the unrivaled coverage of President Kibaki, the late, last lap of honor. And as you can see now, the procession has stopped. We are not very sure what is exactly happening, but that's about 15 minutes before they get to Karatina town. But I can see the military outriders are now back on their piki-pikis, and I think now the journey has started again. So you would expect them to get to Karatina town in about 15 minutes from now, because they're going through this small town called Kangosho, which is about 10 kilometers or 15 kilometers to Karatina town. And then I think from Karatina, probably maybe they were consulting maybe which route to take, because I know, you know, Karatina town, there has been a lot of construction around that town, and there you'd expect probably maybe to see a lot of distractions because you know, today is a market day in Karatina town, and so you'd expect a lot of people in that town. And bearing in mind that the road is still under construction in that area, then it calls for serious rethinking and serious planning. So I think those are some of the issues probably maybe they were consulting about. But as you can see, you know, I was just talking to my colleague here, Victor, and time now is almost coming to 9 o'clock, and bearing in mind that they left Lee Funeral Home at exactly 2 hours ago. That was 7 o'clock, and now they're in Karatina. Karatina is about, is it 80 kilometers?
Thereabout, and compared to, if you look at the speed they're doing, it's relatively a good speed, considering that this is a convoy, and you don't need to go at a speed of 120 or 110, and the road is still under construction. You can even see the way that house is maneuvering its way, you know. Perhaps, engineer, this ought to have been sorted out well in advance. Some of these speed bumps would have been removed for the sake of this exercise, probably, right? What do you think, engineer?
The house, the Jaguar.
Yeah, that's a Jaguar.
There's a problem going over the bumps.
Right.
It is very low.
The clearance is very low.
But as you can see, the Jaguar's clearance is also very, very low, yeah? Which means it was not meant for this kind of bumps.
You can see now is the one which is having problem maneuvering the bump. And I think where back there, it must have hit the bump, and then it was hit undercarriage. The undercarriage. So that's why they slowed down. You know, some of these bumps, they are not standard. Sometimes you wanted to have all bumps standardized with a proper design. But now it doesn't work, because people just go and put bumps. They just call a contractor.
Without a standard.
Without standard, they want to make a bump. So you find some are very, very high. But
you've talked about this, the standard and the height of a bump. How should it be now that you're here?
Friendly.
Right.
If it is going to be there, it has to be a friendly bump. To slow you, but not to stop you.
To slow you, but not to stop you.
Yeah, because if a bump is going to stop...
Look at that. I mean, it has stopped again, eh?
Yeah, because the bumps, those bumps are...
Oh dear.
And it's sad.
They are very big.
It's very sad.
You see, when a bump is big to make that you are stopping, it is equivalent to a pothole. You are complaining about a pothole because it is stopping you. A bump which is very high, it stops you. A bump is not supposed to stop, it's supposed to slow you, reduce your speed. And a friendly bump...
That's why it's called a speed bump.
Just to check your speed. A friendly bump, you can even go over it, even when you are driving at 30 kilometers per hour. But you have to slow. Now you find in most areas, because they are having rubber strips before they get to the bump. So even worse, it is even worse. Rubber strip and even those big bumps. So the Jaguar, which is carrying the body, you can see there is another bump there, you can look at it.
Look at the way it's
yeah.
Oh, Lord.
It cannot go straight. It has got to maneuver sideways.
And when you look at the clearing of that Jaguar, plus the fact that it's carrying a heavy casket, and then you have a number of people. I don't know how many people are riding in that Jaguar. Probably maybe 2. I don't know. So it tells you that even the load is also expected to be heavy.
Yes.
What more do we know about Victor? I know you're more into vehicles and so much. Would you want to tell us more about that Jaguar?
Well, it's a special one for that matter, and it's for, we only have another one at the Lee Funeral Home, but the fact that this is a military event, the information we have at this one is also under the military. So they had to bring it for the purposes of this event, and it's a turbo supercharge, a stretch Jaguar converted into a hearse. And you see this one is a 4-seater, because you have got a driver, co-driver, and either family members at the back, just 2, and that should be it. And then the remaining bit at the back is where the casket is. In terms of engine capacity, probably it's been enhanced because of the extra weight added and the carrying capacity now, but it should be a 2,500 cc's turbo supercharge kind of a vehicle. But then depends with the specification and what you need to do with it. But the normal standard should be 2,500 cc and thereabout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, because we have the program already here. Maybe I can take people through what is expected. Of course, the procession has left Lee Funeral Home. It did this 7 in the morning exactly, and they took they're on the way to Othaya, and they're almost now approaching Karatina town. So it is expected that, according to the program, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., there will be a funeral mass, and, there will be beginning of mass and blessings of the body. There will be the entry procession. There will be the Bible procession, fast reading, responsorio, psalms, up to around 3 p.m. And now between the hours of 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., the interment ceremony is expected to take with the final rites at the graveside. The state funeral procession, military honors, the 19-gun salute that Victor was talking about, the committal prayer, the interment, musical tribute, floral tribute, and President Othaya's home. That is the program. So it is expected to go or the program is expected to go all the way up to 4 p.m. And some of the music that you expect to hear that are lined up during the ceremony is, one of them is Great is Thy Faithfulness. It is well with my soul because He lives. Blessed assurance. What a friend we have in Jesus. All to Jesus I surrender. You raise me up, and my hope is built on nothing less. Quite such a beautiful song there. I like it actually. And Bwana Mungu Nashangaa Kabisa. That one is new to me. Then there's also another one that we all know here. Chakutumaini Sina. Ila damu yake Bwana. That's another song that that is expected to be recited during the burial ceremony. And the Catholic Church, bearing in mind that President Mwai Kibaki was a staunch Catholic member, is going to lead these mass. So that is according to this program. And we've been here, and of course, with Professor Michael Chege, who was President Kenyatta's economic and policy advisor.
President Kibaki's.
I mean President Kibaki. Oh Lord, I keep on confusing. Excuse me. President Kibaki is an economic and policy advisor, and of course Joshua Toro, who was the Assistant Minister for Roads, Public Works and Housing under the late President Kibaki's tenure. And we've been having this conversation here, and of course with my colleague Victor, trying to relive the memories of Mwai Kibaki. And we've touched on a number of things, from infrastructure and the significance of using the road transport, to take him all the way to Othaya. And it is coming out clearly that because President Kibaki was very much interested in infrastructure development, it was proper, to showcase some of his projects that are going to outlive him, definitely. And one of them we were talking about is the Thika superhighway, which was actually his brainchild, and now they're going through the Kenol Marua Highway, which is currently under construction, and that's why you're seeing the Jaguar car is having a little bit of challenge, maneuvering over those bumps. But at this juncture, I would want to bring in Engineer Toro and find out, was the Kenol Marua Highway, part of President Kibaki's plan?
Yes. It started when he took over. As I said before, his vision was to connect the northern grid road all the way to Mwai. And to do that, you had to start from Thika superhighway, then you go to Keno, Marua, then all the way to Nanyuki. So the conception and the design for the route from Keno to Marua was done a long time before Kibaki left office in 2013. And it was to be funded by African Development Bank. And it was designed by our engineers by then. But the money from African Development Bank was not forthcoming because they had to fund the superhighway first. And the superhighway had to finish before they tackled the Keno Marua Road. So the slowness that came about is because the funding was not available then. And also the way President Kibaki worked was very systematic, and the planner is here, Professor as a planner. He knows very well what Kibaki wanted done. And the first 5 years, if people can remember very well, by the time we came to 2007, he was telling Kenyans that we are funding everything 95%. We are borrowing 5%. So it was Kibaki's idea that even infrastructure, we should be able to fund internally. So after the superhighway, the Keno Marua Road was also to be funded internally. And funding internally also, the concept of borrowing. Whenever Kibaki borrowed money from World Bank or ADB, he knew exactly how that money is going to be paid.
There was a repayment plan in place.
There was a repayment plan. And if that repayment plan was going to be abandoned to Kenyans, he would delay the implementation of certain projects.
Just hold your thoughts there, because we should be coming back now. We just want to cross over to Othaya Approved School, where our reporter John Jacob Kwaheri has been camping the whole night, trying to keep an eye on what is happening. And now we want to cross over to him so that he can give us a brief of what is happening now that the casket is less than 1 hour from where they are. Kwaheri, if you can hear me, what the latest do you have from Othaya Approved School?
Thank you, O'Brien. We live from the approved school grounds in Othaya, and of course, the members of the public continue to trickle in, as well as dignitaries who are attending this burial ceremony of the late president, Mwai Kibaki. We've seen quite a number of them who are making their way inside the tent, of course, as we await the arrival of the body of the late President Mwai Kibaki. And we'll be talking to a few of them, but just to let you know that we are on standby as we await the body of the late president. Now, the celebrant of the mass is the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Nyeri, Archbishop Anthony Muheria, who is already here, and a pack of senior government officials ahead of the arrival also of President Uhuru Kenyatta and other senior government officials. Probably from what you can see behind me is the entrance of the approved school grounds, obviously where dignitaries will be coming through as they head towards the tent. The mass is scheduled to begin at around 10, led by Archbishop Anthony Muheria and Catholic priests. But remember, this is also interdenominational, so we've seen quite a number of religious leadership from other denominations, obviously also coming in here to eulogize a man who has been described as a gentle giant and probably a gentleman in politics. We'll be trying to grab a few interviews here and there, obviously, to talk to some of the dignitaries making their way here. But let me just hand it back to you a bit, O'Brien Kimani, so we can be able to grab a few people, then get back to you.
Well, that is inside the dais where, the dome where the burial ceremony is expected to take place. You can actually see a few people there who, if my eyes serve me right, I can see that was the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Kenneth Marende there. But we're back on the road. The Jaguar is still having challenges, maneuvering over those big bumps, bearing in mind that this road is still under construction. We are still with a team of people who served under Kibaki's government. They continue to give us some soft bits about what they know about this man and how they interacted with him. And we're also in the company of our very own Victor in the studio, who we've been with. And actually, we've been here since 5 in the morning. And so that we ensure that we give you the best coverage. And so far, this is nothing else like it. I mean, this is world-class coverage here. We told you that the procession is approaching Karatina town, where now they still head to Maroa, where the road terminates, and then from there they will take a left turn to Othaya, and we expect them to be there in the next 50 or so minutes, depending on how the road is likely to be. But of course, we do not expect to see interruptions along the highway, especially after they make the turn off to Nyeri town, because there's no construction there. The only challenge that we're having here is because the canal to Maroa Road is under construction, and this is what we were discussing here with Joshua Toro, engineer, who was a former assistant minister in Kibaki's government. Joshua, coming back to you, you were giving us an idea of how the whole road was conceptualized, and now that is currently undergoing. Was it the same design that, as government you envisioned, or maybe there has been alterations along the process?
Yes, the designs is updated continuously. So the concept and design at that time, by the time it came to be constructed, there was a review, design review. So the original concept, although it was to be dual carriageway, the way it is, but then what changes come because of compensation of land. Sometimes you find there is heavier compensation, and then you redesign to reduce the cost. Sometimes you cannot avoid compensation. Some of it is very expensive. And from that time up to the time it started being constructed, before the valuation was done for compensation, people kept on improving their land and putting buildings. So as years went by, the value of compensation also went up. As I was saying, Kibaki looked at the borrowing capacity to pay and the implementation of the project. So the concept from Keno to Marwa to Nanyuki, then come to Isiolo extending to Marsabit, Merile, then going to the border with Ethiopia. All that concept was what Kibaki had, and it was designed and kept to be implemented as funds were available. Because as far as Kibaki was concerned, until the road goes all the way to Mwai, Kenya has not been opened up. Because that area from Isiolo going to Marsabit to Mwai, it was, I say, radrocked. You talk to the people who used to go to Mwai, they use lorries, they would spend about even a week traveling.
Because the road was in poor condition.
Buses never used to go there, and then there was insecurity because the road was
look
bad.
At this, Professor, engineer, first of all. I think now they have entered Nyeri town. Not Nyeri, but Karatina. Is that Karatina town?
I think this is Karatina.
Yeah, and oh my, look at the number of people there who are out these early morning just to bid their son Kwaheri. And the outriders are being forced now to slow down. Yeah, these are military outriders. And this is inside the tent where the ceremony will take place. There's a little bit of consultation there because in an event like this, you need people to be at the right place at the right time. So this is Karatina town. Can we confirm that?
Let's see.
Professor, are your eyes strong enough to see?
We have to identify a building so that you say this building is in Karatina.
But there's a lot of construction around this
Victor,
road.
you're still very young, so I would expect your eyes to be very strong. Can you guide us on these?
But it's growing so fast.
So
that's a challenge.
You have to identify a building.
This must be up towards Karatina town.
Towards, but not Karatina town,
Yes. Again.
Okay.
Yes. This is Karatina town.
This is Karatina town,
Karatina town.
So my eyesight is not failing me.
No. You're right. So
Let's
from
see.
here, I think to Odai should be around 40 minutes or so.
It's about 40 minutes,
Yeah.
This is, I'm yet to identify anything.
We have to cross the railway. There's a railway crossing.
Yeah, and there's a market. There's a famous market that used to be around there.
So I'm trying to see whether they have crossed that railway line.
I'm yet to see that as well. So I could be wrong.
No, this is not Karatina.
But it is...
they have not entered Karatina yet.
It is not yet Karatina town, But it is within the vicinities of Karatina town? I don't know. I'm not very conversant with that region, but I would spot Karatina if I see one, because of course there is that huge Chaka market that actually was also a brainchild of President Mwai Kibaki.
Exactly.
And you want to talk about that?
It used to be the largest open-air market in sub-Saharan Africa at one point.
Second to Kano, I think.
Second to Kano, one of those. Yes, open air market. And a lot of vegetable produce coming to Nairobi used to originate from there. And he was concerned about the promises which had been made to people in Madira. Region.
Well, let me confirm this. There's a colleague of mine, Wahome, he's telling me that this is towards Kibirigwi or Kifirigwi. And this place is called Kangosho Hill. In
exactly.
Town. Thank you, Wahome, for the props. And I mean, you've saved us from the challenges we are going through here.
Mental torture. He knows the place very well.
And so the promises had been made. My very good friend, the late governor of Nyeri, Wahome Kakuru, who worked with me on Vision 2030, he revived it and was very vigorous in demanding that it be planned and acted on. And I think the president was already aware that there was a need for this. He knows the area very well. So it got built. There are problems operating it, which I've heard about, managing it and all of that. But the fact is that there is now a modern market in Karatina. And the railway is back in operation as well.
And the market is also huge,
It's still a huge market as far as produce is concerned, but other products are also coming in as well.
I also tell us, I mean, you are a member of the National Economic and Social Council, the NESC, which was very critical during Kibaki's time in giving the country economic as well as a social direction. Can you tell us something small about that as well?
I think the president, as soon as he came in, was very interested in getting the best policy advice possible in transforming the country towards what he thought would be the country that we all desired at Independence Vision 2030. And he collected the best brains he could in the country, in the region, but also internationally, looking at what had happened in Korea, as well as the newly industrializing Asian countries, like Malaysia, which became a model, and Singapore. He brought in some of the best people who had worked with the presidents of those countries in their formative period. And they were extremely useful to us. We brought in experts from Britain as well. Linda Choka, who was Minister for Overseas Development at one point, a very good friend of our country, and was at that time working with one of the multinationals, came to be part of the NESC. A lot of top business people in the country were also part of the NESC, as well as leaders in thinking, economists, as well as professionals, engineers, and who were involved in those. He wanted them to fill in the details. He had the vision, the details of how we get there step by step. And he chaired it, listened, read all the reports very carefully, asked all the tough questions. And this was good way of policy making, because once you have recommendations at that level, with that kind of expertise, you flesh them out before they come to cabinet as papers and as proposals with his support.
Very good. I'll be coming back to you to find out what happened to NESC and whether now it is still happening. But we want to go to Othaya approved school, where now we want to get an update from John Jacob Curia, who has been camping there since Friday, actually. And so, John Jacob Curia, can you hear me? And what else do you want us to know at this point?
Thanks to Brian. We're still at the Othaya approved school grounds as we continue to await the arrival of the body of the late president, Mwai Kibaki. And right now I'm joined by the Maendeleo Wanawake president, who will, tell us about how she remembers President Mwai Kibaki. Thanks very much. Probably start by, if you were to shape or you were to talk about President Mwai Kibaki's legacy, what would you say is his legacy?
I'll start by saying, first of all, kwa niaba ya Maendeleo ya Wanawake, tuko hapa leo kufanya wa final respect to President Kibaki na kwa familia yake. Mwenyezi Mungu awapatie nguvu. What would I say about President Kibaki? He was our third president. All the Kenyan presidents performed very well. Founding father gave us a country. Second president yakaendelea pali alipata kazi. Third president naye akaleta yake. Having started at an early age, of course, he was in Kenya from the beginning. He was younger, and he was able to do very clear issues, sacrifice. We have been told the history, we don't have to go there. But I think for me today, it is to ask ourselves, are we able as a nation to carry the sacrifice President Kibaki has shown us, that you can sacrifice? I want to say what His Excellency said, and we are echoing that you can be a vice president for 11 years, and then you go down to be a minister of health with grace. That if we are Christians, is something we need to respect and follow. His hard work. We are not seeing any business here of working smart. There's a lot of working smart in the country, especially to you young people. We are seeing a journey of hard work. We are seeing a journey of sacrifice where you are in Makerere, and instead of going to pick a big job in World Bank, those days of McNamara, those of us who remember that in the 70s, you come home to build your country. Sasa hii nchi tumenjengewa. Rais Kenyatta naye akaja akafanya yake mingi, tumeona mabarabara tukinja, we keep on saying infrastructure. He doesn't thump his chest, but we don't want to appreciate that. Time will tell. Let me leave that one there. But just say the highway. I use it on my way home every weekend myself to Yatta. That is my highway. He worked with other people also. He wasn't alone. He had a good team. So whenever you work with a team, tungeomba timu zote zikiingia hata ile serikali itakuja washike mkono kiongozi, kwa sababu you will deliver because of the team you have. Whether you are the deputy president, you are ministers, you are PSs, itakuwa ni mzuri sana kushika kiongozi na kusaidia to deliver. So President Kibaki, economy, agriculture, education. And for the girl child, the first thing he gave was a free sanitary pads when Charity was Minister of Health, Charity Ngilu. So without saying very many things, because they have been said, life of sacrifice, I think, is what we need to take home. Economy, saving money, taking care of money, investment, and building this country for the future. Kenya is not finishing in 2022. We shall all leave Kenya going on. So for you young people, sacrifice, and for the new leaders, it's an election time. Sacrifice for the nation, not sacrifice for self. So we say fare thee well, President Kibaki. With me as the Katibu wa Chama, Elizabeth Mayeka.
All right.
Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Mama. Asante sana. Let me talk to the celebrant of a mass today, Archbishop Anthony Mwai. Thank you very much, Archbishop, for joining us. How far is the program so far?
Well, thank you very much. We want to welcome all Kenyans today in this final send-off of our beloved President Mwai Kibaki. We want to ask all Kenyans to join us in prayer, wherever you are, whatever faith. Let us pray for this great man who has done us great service. So the body is on the road, and we should be expecting the arrival of the body here within the next 20 or so minutes. And we will then proceed to have the mass. Today there will not be a lot of the military drills that we saw yesterday in the state funerals, but still the military was to be taking charge. After that, we will start the mass, we'll have the mass, and as we did yesterday at the request of the family, we will only have the mass, a few tributes, and then we'll go and inter Mzee in his final resting place. He gives us a great example, and even today, with a very simple funeral, a very simple burial, I pray that Kenyans learn that it is not the power, that is not the trying to show with the opulence and might that makes a great man. He's a simple man and has wanted to be buried simply.
Yesterday, there were people who appeared to have a problem with your warning that there should be no politics in the funeral. I'm sure probably even today you will stick to your guns that there will be no politics in the burial.
Yeah, that is a desire of the family. That is also a desire as church. I don't think there is any fear or threat. I think they are very welcoming. Our leaders, when they are approached with respect, always listen. It is when we don't show respect, when then we enter in confrontation. We respect them fully. All the leaders will be here, but I think it's also fair that we also respect the function and the wish of the family. And I think we don't foresee any trouble today either. We pray that all of us will be satisfied by being present and praying for this, our dear elder, statesman, and father and mentor to very many. Thank you very much.
Yesterday there was an issue at the dais, and you handled it with a lot of grace. How did you do that?
I think To be honest, it's what occurred to me at the moment. The Holy Spirit inspires us in moments, but I think much has been said about it. I think it should be the normal thing for all of us. When you have a young man who is a bit maybe deranged, maybe emotionally affected, I think we have to take people as they are, wherever we are. And even if we're in a serious occasion, just have a moment for those who are perhaps less privileged or who are in difficulty. But I don't want to put it like a special thing. I think this what, let's call it, is a Christian, and it should be even the Kenyan thing. So let's not overhype it. It's just a gesture. Yes.
Thank you very much, Archbishop. Asante sana. Archbishop Anthony Muheria. That incident yesterday, he handled it with a lot of grace, and he insists that's how Kenyans ought to treat each other. We continue to await the arrival of the body of the late president, but of course you can hear from the sky, sounds from the sky to mean there are people coming in through the sky as they land in Othaya to bury a man who has been described as a gentle giant. President Uhuru Kenyatta, in mourning President Kibaki yesterday, he said that he wanted to describe President Kibaki in three ways. President Kibaki the man, Kibaki the leader, and Kibaki the visionary. And that is who President Mwai Kibaki was, a leader, a man, because he stood for family values, and also a visionary, owing to the fact that, you know, the placement of the Republic of Kenya in terms of infrastructural development, as well as the education sector, in terms of improving access to education through free primary education. And that is part of his biggest legacy. Thika Road, that entire stretch from Museum Hill to Keno, constructed under his watch and part of his legacy. And today, using that road for the very last time, this giant uses that road for the very last time as he comes to Othaya. And the residents of Othaya are out in their numbers to mourn this man. They called their member of parliament, they called Mheshimiwa, they called their father. They are out here to mourn that man, and they have come in their numbers. And probably as you monitor from your screen the convoy, you will notice there are numbers of people who have come out again in their numbers from the roads to at least say goodbye to the third president of the Republic of Kenya, a man you would say has set himself apart as a great man, and a man who was able to achieve much in terms of putting Kenya at par and restoring Kenya's image in the globe, or in the community of nations. And that is who President Mwai Kibaki is. And obviously, at some point, we saw some of the retired CDS, or the Chief of Defense Forces. Then they used to be called Chief of General Staff, or CGS. Those who served under President Mwai Kibaki will also be making their way here. Some of them have already done that. And you can tell it will be a colorful ceremony. But as you have had Bishop Muheria say, there will be not much of, you know, the military operations that we saw in Nyayo, or the honors from the military like we saw in Nyayo yesterday, but there will still be the power bearers, and we'll still be handling a lot of protocol here. But mostly today is the church, or is dedicated to church. We'll still continue grabbing a few interviews here and there and coming to you, O'Brien, but for now let me hand the broadcast back to you as we continue to await the arrival of the body of the late President Mwai Kibaki.
Well, thank you, John Jacob Curia there, talking to various people from Karatina Approved School, where the public mass is expected to take place, and actually talking there to Muheria and about what kind of a program we expect to see from that place. And of course, yes, Muheria, Bishop Muheria has just cleared the air that we do not expect to see a lot of military interactions there. It's going purely to be a church affair, giving the locals there an opportunity to mourn and, of course, see their son. So now it's clear that the procession is now almost getting to Karatina town, because this is that tough hill before you get to Karatina town. And from Karatina town is about 31 kilometers to Othaya Approved School. So you can see plus or minus by around 10 you'd expect to see the body and this team, getting to Othaya, approved school, where the mass is expected to start, and it will go all the way up to 3 p.m. and then thereafter from 3 to 4 the interment of the body is expected to take place. So plus or minus 4 p.m. you expect this ceremony to come to a close. We are back in studio here with my team, Professor Mwai, a former advisor on economic as well as policy issues to President Mwai, Kibaki, and Engineer Joshua Tora, former Assistant Minister for Roads, Public Works as well as Housing, giving us a brief history of the man who the nation is bidding farewell today. And of course, we also have Victor, who is also my colleague on the other side. Victor, do you have any question to the team?
Probably before I get to ask a question, but this is quite unheard of. We've never seen such before, having that long distance. What happened with the late President Mwai? There was a chopper which took ferried the body all the way from Nairobi to Kabarak, but this one is slightly different because covering that distance it's now 9:30, that is now 2.5 hours on the road. We would have expected to see something quite different, having a military chopper ferrying the body from here, the way it was done with President Mwai, but this is completely different. Even though with all the challenges, the roads are still under construction, but either way, as engineer would say, this was part of his pet project to connect part of the northern corridor, in terms of infrastructure. Engineer, when you look at this and you look at President Mwai Kibaki's policy in terms of economic policy, foreign policy, and now you put it here, perhaps wherever he is, so to speak, he must be so happy with the development that is happening, even though way after his tenure. Engineer?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think wherever he is, and after retirement, when he would know the policy that he put in place and the infrastructure that he conceived was being done.
Yes.
He was a very happy former president. If I may maybe go back to 2 or 3, so that our viewers can understand the thinking of Mwai Kibaki.
Yes.
When he formed his first government, because of the policy and the anticipation that he wanted to excel infrastructure, he put 2 engineers in the Ministry of Roads, Public Works and Housing. That was Engineer Raila and myself. It was not by mistake. It is because Kibaki really wanted 2 people he can trust to be in charge of his dream in infrastructure.
Yes.
So when we started working with the challenges that we found there, and consulting with the president, his mind was very clear. We were not there in the ministry to fight the former president.
Yes.
Because the former president, infrastructure, most of them had failed, and they were white elephants, as people used to say. But he made it clear to us that we are not there to talk about failed projects. So what did he tell us to do? Those white elephants, can you please, when you are budgeting now,
right,
before you start new projects, can you complete those first?
Yes.
That's why those of you who remember the NYS,
the housing
buildings
complex
there, which had been there,
yes,
as white elephant for many years. We started with those ones. We finished them. We never said that pesa ilikuliwa wakati wa Moi. We never talked about that one.
You are focusing on the current government.
Focusing on, because those projects are for Wananchi. He said this project was started for Wananchi. So until they are finished, Wananchi cannot enjoy them. We come to some infrastructure like a road which used to be called Kisii-Chemosit Road. It was for a long time, election after election, that is in Kisii. Contractors would be ferried during elections, and then after elections, it would be abandoned. So by the time we came to finish that road,
yes,
the contractor we put on praise was the 5th contractor.
The 5th
contractor who did that job.
Working on the same design?
Well, we kept on improving, because by then the designs were not being done. It was just a question of eating the money. But we were saying, don't talk about what money has been eaten before. Can you go and do this road? Kisiis are complaining every year that the Kisii-Chemosit Road, we do campaign. Can you please do this road? Don't think about what happened. So that one we did. And then when we came to now to actually decide which projects we need to prioritize, we formed what we used to call pending bills verification committee. We put professional engineers and planners and accountants, auditors. We put them in that committee, and they went through all the contracts that were signed and did a verification of what to be paid and what not to be paid, the status of every project, so that we can be able to know where we are and moving forward, so that we can be able to do the budgeting. So those projects that contractors were paid and they had not done anything, the bills, the certificates that were pending there, we could not pay. This is the time that you heard about the cowboy contractors. That term was used. We used term cowboy contractors. But you see contractors, and this is, I like our viewers to get this correct. It is not the contractors who are bad. It is not the engineers who are bad. It is the management. Because those contractors are the ones we used. We never got any other contractors. They are the contractors we used to actualize the dream of Kibaki in infrastructure. The other thing that I think people don't know is Kibaki did not want us to talk about...
Sorry, but I think it is proper to say that now they are entering Karatina town. As you can see, this is now Karatina town. Would you want to confirm that, Professor Chege?
I have to take a quick look. And find out, because
once you pass the railway line, then that you're...
Then we're in Karatina.
Have we passed the railway?
Right.
And they have stopped. I
think it's that bump.
It's the bumps again?
Maybe it has...
This is the second incident that they've witnessed so far.
In the bump, there's a bump there at Karatina which is very, very bad. Maybe it has held the undercarriage of the... of the vehicle.
Because I can see in the background there, that is what we used to call the Karatina cinema. Behind there, a long time ago, before movie theaters became a thing of the past. I know you can relate to that very well. But I think there's a challenge with
a high school somewhere. I think it is the undercarriage which is being affected by this.
Which is having a challenge.
Engineer, there is something quite peculiar here. This is the second time that they're having a stop.
Yes.
And from your engineering perspective, you said that a speed bump should slow you down, not make you stop. This is the second time it's happening.
Yes.
Perhaps on a national television, and talk to the road engineers, your colleagues, people who are taking construction of these roads. This is a clear picture of what is happening out there to the common mwananchi, because you've had many people say, I go to the village and when I come back, I have to change my suspension because of such. What did you tell the road engineers out there?
The road engineers know exactly what they are supposed to do. But when any contractor who comes to pull the bump, they are paid on the material used. Yeah?
All right.
The quantity.
Brian, do you get the point?
The quantity. So when the contractors come,
yes,
the quantity
You use
the more they use,
the more they are paid.
the more they are
you use,
paid.
the more you are paid.
Yeah, the more you are
Get,
paid. That's what they look at.
Yes.
So when the engineer comes to do the need to calculate the quantity used,
Right.
the contractor will have used, and he will be paid for what he has been used. So you find now some bumps are so big, and the contractor has paid more money.
So you
another
go there
one
and
which is smaller, the contractor got less money.
Yes.
So it's a question of the small corruption there going on. Now you find all engineers know that the speed bumps are supposed to slow vehicles, not to stop. And over the years, because of the development of the vehicles, most of the vehicles are now coming and they are lower. Every time they are lower.
Exactly.
Lower.
Right.
So you find the
Right.
speed bump that we used to have pickups and these vehicles they were tropical vehicles with high suspension. They used to go over those bumps easily. But now it has changed. Like you can see the Hasna here.
Yeah.
The Jaguar.
This is embarrassing.
It is an embarrassment. Because this is the second time. That one, it will stop at the bump there, and this is the second bump it is stopping.
But I think what we're just doing here is just we're just speculating that it's an issue of bumps because it's yet to be confirmed. Because probably maybe they could also be stopping maybe for health break or something like
break.
that.
You don't stop at nowhere.
Or maybe they are just well, I'm just also speculating. I cannot confirm these.
You see, if they were speaking to people, if they stop to speak to people, people come, it is different. Even if it is a health issue, they would go in somewhere where, not a shopping center, where it is open, where somebody can go and, But now where they are stopping, you can see there is a problem.
There's a problem there.
And the problem, I maybe can assume it is because of the bump, probably. Because it's not a health break there. There's no hotel there. The people, there are even no people there, crowding there to be talked to. So maybe our assumption might be right about the issue of the bump.
All right. On your left is the procession to Othaya, and on the right of your screen is what is happening at the Othaya approved school in Nyeri County. I can see Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, who was actually the Minister for Planning during Kibaki's tenure. And next to him is Nakuru Governor Lee Kenyanjui there. I mean, let me hear your thoughts, Professor Chega. I know you worked with Nyong'o closely.
Let me finish my point.
Okay.
What I was talking about, the thinking of the president when he endorsed us with the issue of the infrastructure. I was saying there is something that people don't know. The issue of President Mwai's residence in Cabinet Gardens. The one with that house.
The house that is just next to Kibera.
It was the vice president's official residence. Yeah.
And the deputy governors during the colonial period.
Yeah. So when Mwai became the vice president, that's where he resided. So when Kibaki
was there a presidential house?
It's a state house.
State house.
Yes. So when
he opted to live in the vice president's house.
He's decided to be there when he became president. So when Kibaki took over, naturally the president the former president should have vacated, and the vice president should occupy the house. But Kibaki did not want to look like he is harassing the former president. So when he called us, me and Raila, about that issue, he made because the housing docket was under the ministry, he made it very clear that that house, the government is going to bestow that house to the former president for good. So that's how that house became Mwai's house. Even to today. It's not government house.
But it was a public house.
It was a public house. It was government house for the vice president. So that's what happened. And that's why we now conceived building a residence for the vice president in Karen. So that's the thinking of the president. That's how the president was, very careful, not vindictive about the former president. He did not want anything about the former president to be brought in anywhere. And even those people,
to create that animosity.
And those people who thought that they could even sue the former president for some things, Kibaki did not want to hear those nonsense. He did not want to hear. And not at any time did you hear President Kibaki talking about Mwai and attesting failures of Kenya to the former president. And he said, now, for you, continue with what we are going to deliver. Forget about the past. And I think he had a lot of trust, especially for me. He trusted me. That's why I remained there for 5 years. Raila left in 2005 after the referendum. And Nyashai came. Nyashai was having his health problems. So for those 5 years, Kibaki had my trust. When I lost the election in 2007, because of the continuity of what you are doing, he took me to Kenya National
Highways Authority, as a chairperson.
I was not the chair, but we were the pioneer. That's when we formed Kenya. We were the pioneer board, but I was the only person who knew exactly what wanted to be done.
Very well.
So we went and formed Kenya. Not forgetting that when I was the assistant minister, that's when we had the 3 road boards. The Roads Act is when we enacted it.
Yeah.
So I was fully aware of what President wanted the boards to do. Those boards.
Sorry, but I can see, I think, the wheels have started already, and now they are on the way to Nyeri. Well, they've stuck there for almost 10 minutes now.
Exactly.
I'm just wondering now. They were expected to be in Othaya at 10. If this was to continue, then they're likely to take a bit of time, on the highway.
Yeah.
We are yet to understand what exactly was happening there. Whether it was an issue of the Jaguar car that is carrying the casket, or maybe it was a question of consultations. But of importance is the fact that now they're on the way, and let's hope that they wouldn't have to stop again. And we continue to give you this coverage. This is Kibaki's final lap. We started at 7. That's when the body left the Lee Funeral Home. Now it's about 10 minutes to the hour of 10, and now the casket is around is around Karatina town. After these, they will have to go for another 35 kilometers before they get to Othaya approved school. And we've been crisscrossing the two places, the entourage and the approved school, just to show you what is happening there, because we have our team there. We have Nancy Okware, we have Beatrice Gatonye and John Jacob Kioria, who are right there just to bring us, various perspectives of what is happening now. The body has so far now gone through 3 counties, the county of Nairobi, actually 4. The county of Nairobi, the county of Kiambu, the county of Murang'a. Oh, and actually in Kirinyaga. This is now the 5th county.
Yes.
So Kiambu, Murang'a,
Kirinyaga,
now Nyeri.
So they started with Nairobi, then Kiambu, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, and now they're in Nyeri County now. Interesting. And as you can see, thousands of people in Karatina, bracing the morning chill just to bid farewell to their son, bearing in mind that this would also be classified as Kibaki's local town, which is less than 40 kilometers from where he was born. Another area that would be very interesting to you is the entourage is expected to go through various centers, and can take you through them. After Karatina, they will go through a small town called Mutahi at the junction to Kwaheri. Then there's also another town called Giagatika, junction to Tomotomo.
Yeah.
I want to pause at Tomotomo because it is very significant, because that is where the late Kibaki's wife, Mama Lucy Kibaki, went to high school.
That's correct.
Tomotomo Girls High School. So I don't know what they may stop there just to honor the school. Look at the people in Karatina waving white handkerchiefs. It's a sign of peace. This is quite interesting. Prof, do you want to say something about this?
This is Karatina at its best. This is the people coming out in huge numbers. Not far from Tomotomo, as you've said, the center of Presbyterianism in Central Province, together with Togoto. First missionaries arriving in Togoto, then moving on to Tomotomo. Kenyatta actually went to Togoto, but he also spent some time in Tomotomo as a young man. That's
Kenyatta's the senior.
Yes, Jomo Kenyatta, sorry, That's how deep it goes. And the education there, and early education and PCA work is still an imprint. It's not just the school, also the hospital, the church, and all.
Oh dear. Well, Engineer Toro, I mean, you're completely gobsmacked. Do you want to say something about what you're seeing on your screen?
You know, when I look at this, I see people are genuinely happy to receive their president.
And also sad. That is the last time they're going to.
And sad at the same time. It's a combination of happiness and sadness that they have bid him farewell after knowing him for all those years. Because President Kibaki was the politician in Nyeri, the top politician in Nyeri, respected. And every politician in Nyeri who wanted to go anywhere, if you are not associated with Kibaki, then people will just sideline you. Because the people in Nyeri wanted the leaders to be mentored by Kibaki. If you become an MP or a councillor in Nyeri, without mentorship from Kibaki, then your leadership was viewed, it could not be the best. And that's why you found those days, if you are standing against Kibaki, people in Nyeri would finish with you.
You were going to lose.
You were going to lose. And that is what was being recognized even yesterday. Kibaki the leader. When Uhuru talked about Kibaki, three things about Kibaki the leader. This is what he inculcated in the people of Nyeri and leadership.
Very well. Yes, the body has just, or the casket has just left, Karatina town now en route to Othaya. We now want to take you to Othaya.
And Brian, before you go to that, having seen, a multitude of people coming out and, waving the white handkerchiefs, when you look at the presidential standard that President Mwai Kibaki used was in white. Was in white. Even the presidential standard, which was on the gun carriage, was white, and the national flag, where he lay in state in parliament, was also in white. And it's quite a coincidence that even the residents coming out there and waving white handkerchiefs, of course, it would have been the same, but it's quite a coincidence that President Mwai Kibaki chose white. He's been talked about as a person who loved peace. So white and peace go hand in hand.
That's
and
right.
Just to say that the moment they will be about to arrive at Othaya, it's President Uhuru Kenyatta who actually will receive the body, just the same way it happened yesterday at Mwai National Stadium. They left State House, and briefly and shortly actually before they reached Mwai Stadium, President Uhuru Kenyatta also arrived to receive the body. So I'm told that our reporter Beatrice Gatonye is on standby just to give us an update on what is there. Beatrice, it's a busy morning there, and of course, better part of the day. What do we know so far from that end of central Kenya? Beatrice.
Asante kwa studioni. Hapa ni katika uwanja wa Approved School ambapo misa takatifu ya wafu itafanyiwa hapa ya mwenda zake Mwai Kibaki. Na kama tujuavyo, msafara uko njiani na muda mfupi tu atakuwa mwili wake utakuwa kiwasili hapa, na ninataka nikuonyesha tu shughuli chache ambazo zinaendelea katika uwanja huu. Niko mmoja kati ya malango mengi yaliyoko katika uwanja huu, na huu ni mlango mmoja ambao unatumiwa na wananchi kuingia. Hapa wananchi wanakaguliwa. Kuna vitu ambavyo haviruhusiwi mtu yeyote kuingia navyo, kama vile kiberiti, ama maji, ama juice, ama vyakula vingine vyovyote. Na kama jinsi ambavyo unaona kulingana na picha ambazo unaonyeshwa hapa, ni kukaguliwa. Kila mmoja anafanyiwa ukaguzi kuhakikisha kwamba usalama umeimarishwa katika uwanja huu. Wananchi hawa wanapoingia katika uwanja huu wanakutana na maafisa wa NYS ambao wamewasubiri hapa, wanapatiwa maji, wengine pia wanapewa, na kisha baada ya kupatiwa maji unapatiwa mkate, alafu kisha pale mbele kuna soda za kila aina. Ile soda ambayo wewe unaipendelea unaichukua hapo, na kisha unaelekezwa mahali ambapo unastahili kuketi, na unasaidiwa na maafisa wa NYS pamoja na maafisa wengine wa polisi ambao wako katika eneo hili. Kando na hayo, mtazamaji, tayari wananchi wameanza kuketi, na kama tujuavyo, Rais Mwai Kibaki hayati sasa alikuwa anapendelewa sana hapa kama mbunge, kwani alihudumu tangu mwaka 1974 hadi mwaka 2013 kama mbunge wa eneo bunge la Othaya. Hivyo basi wakazi ambao wanamiminika katika uwanja huu wana hadhi kubwa sana na wanamheshimu sana mwenda zake, kwani ni kiongozi ambaye amewahudumia kwa muda mrefu, na ni mengi ambayo yamesemwa kuhusiana na kiongozi huyu. Na ningependa nikuelekeze upande huu mwingine. Baada ya wananchi kuingia, pia wanapata fursa ya kutazama picha ambazo zinaonyesha safari ya Rais mwenda zake hayati Mwai Kibaki. Hizi ni picha ambazo zinaonyesha yeye kama mtu wa familia, yeye pamoja na mke wake Lucy hapo, pamoja na wajukuu akiwasomea vitabu. Hizo ni picha ambazo zinaonyesha Kibaki kama mtu wa familia. Kando na hayo, pia kuna picha nyingine ambazo zinamuonyesha kama mtu wa kitaifa. Alihudumu katika nyanja mbalimbali katika serikalini, hapo akiwa pamoja na hayati mzee Jomo Kenyatta, na yeye kama anahudumu pia kama katika nyadhifa mbalimbali alizokuwa amepewa kama kwenye serikali. Picha inayofuata ni picha ambazo zinaonyesha Rais hayati Mwai Kibaki kama mbunge. Kama jinsi ambavyo nimekuambia, alihudumu kama mbunge wa eneo hili kwa takriban miongo minne, na picha hizi zinaonyesha safari yake yeye kama mbunge wa eneo hili. Kando na hayo, tuna picha ambazo pia zinamuonyesha ama zinaashiria wakati wake alipohudumu kama waziri wa fedha, na amesifiwa sana 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 kama waziri ambaye alifufua uchumi wa nchi hii, waziri ambaye alijitolea kuhakikisha kwamba uchumi wa nchi umeinuka. Kando na hayo, pia kuna picha ambazo zinaonyesha hayati Mwai Kibaki kama makamu wa rais, ambaye alikuwa makamu wa rais wake hayati Daniel Arap Moi. Hapo hizo ni picha ambazo zinaonyesha wakati wake yeye pamoja na hayati rais wa pili wa Jamhuri ya Kenya Daniel Arap Moi. Picha pia ambazo zinafuata ni picha ambazo zinaonyesha kuhusiana naye kama kiongozi wa upinzani, hapo wakiwa na John King wakati ambapo walianzisha chama cha DP. Hapo hizo ni picha ambazo pia zinaashiria hayati Mwai Kibaki kama kiongozi wa upinzani. Picha inayofuata inaonyesha nyakati mbalimbali alizohudumu kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Amesifiwa kama kiongozi ambaye alijitolea kuwasaidia Wakenya kuinua uchumi, kutengeneza barabara, kama jinsi ambavyo hapo tunasikia studioni wachanganuzi wakizungumza zaidi kuhusiana na jinsi walivyotengeneza barabara, walivyounda barabara nyingi. Amesifiwa kama rais ambaye bila shaka alileta mabadiliko makubwa hapa nchini Kenya. Hatutaweza kuzungumza kuhusu safari ya hayati Mwai Kibaki bila kuzungumzia kuzinduliwa kwa katiba mpya mwaka 2010. Hii ni safari ambayo alihakikisha kwamba ameifanya na nchi hii ikaweza kupokea katiba mpya ambayo imesifiwa sana kama mojawapo wa katiba ambazo ni nzuri sana kote duniani. Hapa ni katika uwanja wa Approved School, mtazamaji, ambapo mwili wa hayati Mwai Kibaki utakuwa ukiwasili muda mfupi kutoka sasa, ambapo viongozi wa serikali pamoja na wananchi wa hapa Othaya na kote nchini Kenya tayari wanaendelea kumiminika katika uwanja huu ili kumpa heshima za mwisho na pia kumsindikiza kiongozi huyu ambaye bila shaka amesifiwa kote ulimwenguni na wengi wamemwomboleza kama kiongozi aliyejitolea kuhakikisha kwamba taifa hili linainuka kiuchumi, kimaendeleo na mengine mengi. Na watu wa eneo hili tayari wamefika hapa kwa wingi kwa sababu wanajivunia kiongozi huyu ambaye wamemtambua kwa ukaribu sana, kando na wengine wetu kama Wakenya ambao tunamjua kama rais, na kwa kweli aliweza kufanya mengi. Lakini kwa wananchi wa Othaya ambapo atazikwa hivi leo, wanajivunia sana kiongozi huyu na wanamchukulia kuwa mtu wao wa karibu sana. Ndio sababu hivi leo, kando na kibaridi kingi hapa Othaya, wengi wamejitokeza, wadogo kwa wakubwa, wazee kwa vijana, wamama, wasichana, wamefika hapa kuhakikisha kwamba wanampa heshima za mwisho anazostahili kiongozi huyu, rais wa 3 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Hivyo basi tuko hapa katika uwanja wa Approved School ambapo tutakuwa tukikuletea taarifa nyingi kuhusiana na yale ambayo yatakuwa yakifanyika hapa, huku mwili wake ukitarajiwa kufika hapa. Tayari umefika katika eneo la Karatina na utakuwa ukiwasili hapa muda mfupi kutoka sasa. Na kurejesha studioni Obran Kemani pamoja na Victor Olo, uwanjani wenyu.
Thank you so much, Beatrice Gatonya there. That's a comprehensive update on what is happening down there in Othaya with the pictorial evidence of life and times of President Mwai Kibaki. And now, as you can see, guests have already taken their seats. And of course, as per the information is that that dome is going to carry 15,000 people and the rest will be beamed live on different screens that will be stationed outside that dome. And of course, security is also paramount, which she said that is taken care of adequately. So particular items are not allowed into that particular area. Things with matchstick, water and what have you, just for security purposes, those are the things that will not be allowed. They are a few minutes away from home, and of course it's now 3 minutes past 10 o'clock. We predicted that probably plus or minus, and of course is 3 minutes past the hour. We've seen 2 stops so far, and we can attribute that spillover the hour because of those stops. And of course the road is still under construction, so yes, it can pass that way. But then President Uhuru Kenyatta will be the person to receive the body, meaning President Uhuru Kenyatta at this particular point should be en route to Othaya. A 19-gun salute will be given in honor of the late President Mwai Kibaki. And of course we are also informed that a few meters to the home, the gun carriage will be there. Yet to confirm how that will take place. And of course, the casket is draped in a national flag, but at the burial site or the graveside, that flag will be handed over to the family of the late President Mwai Kibaki. Dignitaries are already in the country. So far we have got 3 presidents: Salva Kiir Mayardit of South Sudan, who attributed the kind of freedom they have right now to President Mwai Kibaki. He even said through the Minister of Cabinet Affairs, that is Martin Elia Lomuro, who spoke on behalf of Salva Kiir, who said that President Mwai Kibaki even took some of the government officials from South Sudan to Mombasa, to Kenya Government of School for training. And that is why they are so grateful to President Mwai Kibaki. The negotiation was done here in Kenya, and the peace accord was also done here in Kenya. Prof, it's when you talk of peace, when you talk of international relations with other nations, we can never talk much about President Mwai Kibaki. South Sudan is enjoying peace right now. And if you look at the flag, it's more or less the same as Kenya's flag.
That's correct.
Right.
I think you're absolutely right. Peace and development for us in Kenya always went together. And I think what President Kibaki did was to continue on the foundations built at independence by the first president and the second president as far as the Sudanese peacemaking efforts are concerned. I think President Kibaki's introduction and innovation here was something he called economic diplomacy,
yes,
and business diplomacy, going alongside peacemaking and development. If you look at our embassies everywhere, there was a renewed emphasis on business and bringing in investment and getting our exports out there. And part of the training, you just mentioned the importance of training here, in Kenya School of Government, but also Foreign Service Institute at our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, began getting a tweak towards emphasizing those issues. He was very conscious of them. He met the ambassadors. He wanted to know from each one of them, they meet I think once every 2 years, what exactly have they done to promote economic. But you're right, peace in our region. If you look at what happened in Somalia, our armed forces intervened when our tourist resorts in the coast came under attack.
Yes.
We didn't attack first, they attacked. We had to respond, and we did. As far as Somalia is concerned, we have continued a very good cooperation as far as security in the region is concerned with Ethiopia.
He was also so passionate about foreign policy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And foreign policy because he realized very well that we needed excellent relations with other countries in the world. Let me tell you, a lot of people talk about looking east policy under Kibaki. I think that is not quite accurate.
Yes.
What he was doing was saying we are going to consolidate our relationship with the traditional partners in the West and in Africa, to start with in Africa and to start with in East Africa, but we are also going to add onto that relationship, onto our baggage of relationship with these new emerging countries in Asia. So what you do see, despite all this look-east policy, is that we have continued our relationship with Western countries, with America, with Britain, with France, with Germany. In fact, they've grown quite tremendously over that period. At the same time, we have added, in Eastern our relationship with Asia, particularly East Asia and Southeast Asia.
But Prof, again, before I let you go, if you look at his approach in terms of how he would handle issues, he would mediate through ministries, through envoys, through different departments, not as a person. He would delegate duties. How would you attribute this to his personality and in terms of how he would run his government?
I think from the very beginning, and I think the minister here will attest, he said, I will delegate, but I will delegate to the most efficient.
Actually, the minister will also be
That's the one. I will delegate to the most efficient people I have. Ministers, permanent secretaries, directors, managers, policymakers, advisors. Get the best, delegate to them, sit back and wait for the report. But you had better make sure when you went with your report to President Kibaki that it was up to snuff. It was up to the standards of his. Otherwise, privately, you get a lashing.
Give me a picture when you went to report to the president, okay, he was your boss, Mzee, this is what I've done, this is the far I've reached, and this is the next step. How would you react?
Professor
in a cabinet meeting?
Professor is very right. You know, Kibaki, you don't go to see Kibaki to tell him anything.
Yes.
As long as you are working, he will leave you alone. He does not want you to go reporting to him. You are going to tell him what? Can you tell Kibaki, you go and tell Kibaki,
give me the results.
I have started on this road.
Yes.
No. He's there. He knows exactly what is happening everywhere.
Right.
So if you make a mistake, that's the time maybe he'll call you. And if you find Kibaki telling you to go and see him, it is either you have done something that is not right, or there is something that he wants you to initiate. Otherwise, Kibaki will not bother you. For example, in the docket of roads and infrastructure.
Yes.
We would meet. He will not, just like when you find that he wants to meet you before he goes to the construction site to launch a road. No. He knows everything will be okay. So you go. The belief is there. He looks at the belief when you are there. And he was very fast at looking at issues. Very fast.
The pointers.
Very fast.
Yes.
And he knew every time you are going outside, when he's meeting readers, number one issue was roads. Roads and water. So, but the priority was always roads. Roads were in bad condition. So he would be able to address those issues.
Right.
The other good thing that he gave us ministers comfort is that he did not want to write to the people, to the wananchi. So once he gets the briefing that this road, maybe it's at this stage, design, we are going to tender maybe very soon. It is being looked into so that he knows what to tell the readers.
Yes.
If, for example, we are launching a road and other roads have come up, and I give him the brief that this road is maybe being designed, because we look at the road before going to a certain area, he would make us very comfortable. And say, mnajua, serikali inafanya kazi na budget. Na hii budget inapitishwa na bunge. Hiyo ndio tunafuata. Kama hii barabara haiko kwa budget mwaka huu, hamwezi jengewa hii barabara.
Yes. So you have to plan it.
Sasa tutaiweka kwa budget mwaka ujao. He will never tell that wananchi that itatengenezwa leo, itatengenezwa mwaka huu. So they gave us a lot of comfort that President has said it is not in the budget. So even answering parliamentary questions for me, it would be very easy for me to say the president was there and he said we are going to look into it the next financial year. But he would be able to tell the people the truth, and that gave us a lot of comfort.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right.
And and also, if when you are giving the belief, and this is something that we learned to be thinking on our feet. You don't know what he's going to ask. For example, you are explaining about the road, and there is the drawing and the map of the road. So you look at it and say, anaona hapa inapitia hapa. Sinaona hapa kuna town nyingine pale. Sasa kwa nini hii barabara isiingie huko? Wale watu watasema nini? How many kilometers is it from here to there? So you have to have all the facts right. Yeah?
Right.
And you have to have the figures. Tukiingiza hapa, kwani tutaongeza pesa ngapi? So that he now knows, he says now tutaipeleka kwa hii shopping center, then you have to do it. But you have to be very careful to tell him the actual cost. So that it can be accommodated. If it cannot be accommodated,
yes,
then he will not talk about it. He will not talk about it. He will let it be there. But he wants to know when he goes to tell the wananchi, does he commit himself?
That really confirms what President Kenyatta said yesterday, that as a leader, you must be able to lead yourself first.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. O'Brien, take it away.
We also wanted to update the people that, they have taken a detour, yeah? I think they have used the Mokoroi route. Probably maybe because the other road was was taking a bit of time because it is still under construction. And I think the cottage was having a bit of problem here. And as we have just seen there, the cottage has just passed the Othaya Boys High School, yeah?
Othaya?
Othaya Boys.
Oh, it's in Othaya already?
So I'm making Othaya.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that tells you that they're not far off from the Othaya approved school. So this is, I think the route is shorter or what? I mean, I'm not very familiar with the terrains of
Mokoroi is shorter.
It is shorter.
Yeah.
So also because probably maybe they were running behind schedule. Time. When you look at time, and this is something that they would want to not to get late, because we are in the rainy season, and of course the weather has been kind to them, but at least it hasn't rained this morning, but it looks like it was raining the whole night.
Yeah, but the weather is holding well so far. Yes.
Yeah, and some of the people that we've seen at the Othaya approved school, what is actually now on your screen, we have seen a couple of people there, education CS, Professor George Magoha. We have also seen NAC Kenya leader Martha Karua. We have also seen National Treasury CS Ukuri Yatani, among other people who have graced this occasion. President Uhuru Kenyatta has not yet landed here, but he's expected to land before the arrival of the cortege. So those are some of the issues that we are monitoring from here. We are still in the good company of two men who served under the late President Mwai Kibaki, that is Professor Michael Chege, who was an economic as well as associate advisor to the President, and engineer Joshua Toro, who was a former assistant minister for roads, public works, as well as housing. We continue with this conversation here on what they learned, or they have learned from the departed president, and of course what legacy the late president has left that they are going to miss. I want to find out from you, Professor Chege, why was President Mwai Kibaki so keen on infrastructure development?
Just like the minister here said, he realized two things. His own experience of Kenya's economy between 1963 at independence and 1978, the role played by infrastructure in opening up what were then called African areas of the economy, particularly agriculture, and the fact that there had been a decline between 78, particularly 1980s, coming the 1990s. That rehabilitation of infrastructure got priority, because if you open up infrastructure, you open up a lot of possibilities, because with communications, you give people who grow crops in the land. Same thing with transportation itself. It's a wealth creator. It's also an income generator, plus the service sector. Infrastructure went hand by hand. Yes, as the minister is saying, a lot of it was roads, but also electricity and access to energy. I remember him saying, connect power to every shopping center. Look at what happened when shopping centers in Kenya were connected to power. Small, medium enterprises that use electricity, including handsets for users of telephones like yourselves, and the industries associated with that, M-pesa and all of that, which has made Kenya famous. All of this ride at the back of infrastructure, and I think that is why he wanted it. He generated growth and gave people hope. You just mentioned Thika Superhighway. Look at what the situation was there before and after. It's not just the highway. It is connected construction, building, habitation between Thika and Nairobi, to the extent that you're talking about one continuum of urbanization, which we need to look into, by the way. That it must be planned, better planned, because, and by saying better planned, it means more infrastructure, because we need better roads, you need sanitation, you need water, and also you need public places and schools and hospitals and all of that. Yeah. And
it's proper to say that yes, indeed, infrastructure development has a spiraling effect on development of local villages, and that is quite apparent, because when you use some of the bypasses, that the late president, constructed, like the western bypass, the eastern bypass, the southern bypass. I mean, you've realized the significant development in terms of real estate. You see towns that were never there. You see new estates that were never there before, and so that trigger effect is definitely good for economic growth. And of course, as you are saying, I mean, it also now requires, the country to put in place proper urban planning mechanisms in place, and this is where the people like now Engineer Toro will help us. And as on the screen is the nephews of the departed president, making way into the venue. That is Laikipia Governor Nderitu Mureithi, who was also an assistant minister for trade during Kibaki's tenure. He's also an economist, right?
Yeah.
And an astute one. He used to work for the International Finance Corporation, which is the lending arm of the World Bank. So also made his way there. So there are also various people who are here, and if you can allow me, I can actually go through some of them. Oh, yeah. Some of even the retired military generals, including chiefs of generals staff. They are in attendance, to honor their fallen bosses. So that is what exactly is happening. They are expecting the arrival of President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is expected.
Actually, Brian, I'm told that they've arrived.
Oh, the president has arrived? The
president has arrived, has landed at Udaya Boys High School, as well as DP Ruto and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. All of them are Udaya Boys High School. Probably that's where they'll pick up from that particular point, and a clear indication that they're almost getting home. Yep. Not so well conversant with the area though, but it's now 10:21, so we would predict that not so long from now they should be there. So the president has arrived at Udaya Boys School, together with the DP Ruto also there, and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. So yes, as we said, he is the man to receive the former head of state at that particular event. We'll get the pictures.
Actually, I've been told that
go there
they're just going through Mokoreni town, eh?
That's Mokoreni.
Yeah, that's Mokoreni town.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what's the distance from Mokoreni to the approved school?
It's not
Engineer?
far. It's not far.
Well, it's
Could
like
be 10 kilometers.
Yeah, 10 kilometers.
It's not far.
It's not far.
It's not far. All right. So it's proper to imagine that in the next 15-20 minutes they should be there.
Mokoreni and Ola, they are just next to one. They are smaller constituencies, so they are just next to one another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from Mokoreni, the next town is Odaya.
From Mokoreni.
Yeah. The next town is Odaya.
The next town is Othaya town. Eh?
Yeah.
And how far is the approved school from Othaya town?
That one I have no idea. I have not been to approved school, but it must be around there, within the same vicinity.
I think it must be closer to the president's place of birth, Gatuyaini, which is not in Othaya town, a little bit further out. Yeah.
But we understand the president is not going to be laid to rest at Gatuyaini.
Where's
is it
in a home next to where the wife was raided?
What is the name of that small town?
I can't. It's Gatuyaini.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but it's his home there. That's why you'll be laid to rest next to the wife.
Next to the wife.
Yeah, home. The Othaya home.
The Othaya home. His Othaya home.
Yeah, his Othaya home.
Right. Yeah. You see, the cottage is actually now, approaching closer and closer to the approved school, and of course, now they are in a haste pace because they really want to cut time. And the people on the screen is the cabinet secretary for health, that is Mutahi Kagwe, and he also served under the late president tenure. He was the minister for information and communication, and actually when the news broke out of the demise of the president, I had a chat with Mutahi Kagwe, and he really talked about how the president was very of much help when Kenya was trying to cut its niche in the ICT world. Of course, with the landing of various submarine cables, and also of course with the rollout of M-pesa, which is one of his digital legacy project. Of course, I don't know whether you really want to talk about that and how it has spurred economic growth in the region.
I think this is again part of Vision 2030, making Kenyan economy electronically driven, modern age, That is one of his legacies, and I think the best person to speak about this, when we have all heard him talk about it with passion, is Professor Bitangi Ndemo of the University of Nairobi, who was PS then in information communications technology. Konza City, all of those things were riding on the under the back of the first undersea cable to come to the country, because the idea was to bring costs down. Apart from, instead of relying on satellites for electronic information delivery, we had the first undersea cable. I think we have gone on to the fourth, the fifth, I think, and so on.
Now we are at the sixth cable.
And that has made us a really important demonstrator in the developing world of how you use electronic technology for information, not just for information like we're doing here, but also for commerce, for buying and selling, and particularly in the financial sector. And you just mentioned M-pesa, in which we are a global leader. So that, again, when you talk about legacy, is those are the things. And he took a very strong personal interest in this, in ensuring that all the obstacles on the way were removed. And I think we owe to him the fact that we went as far as we did then. I think we must revisit areas in which we're lagging behind. I think Konza City and the international partners who are supposed to come with us, the government of Korea, they're in there with a foothold in a big way, but also international players from the United States, the big brands
like Google,
Hewlett-Packard, all
IBM.
of them, IBM, FedEx, who had expressed interest in an airport there. All of these players should be brought on board now, just like we had intended, if his legacy is to be continued. I know there are a few problems. For example, National Land Commission, as the minister was saying, land is always a problem to get projects started in our country. And it makes our projects in Kenya more expensive, because landholders always hold out for money, and it takes time. Regardless of all that, we know what the problems are. Let's go out and solve them. Yeah.
Very well. And I think it's also highly appreciative to note that, I mean, since the body or the cortege left the Lee Funeral Home, it's very interesting to note that we haven't seen this procession, going through a road that is not would not be said to be not in good shape.
Yeah.
Because the only stretch that we can talk about is the Kennel to Marua,
which is under construction.
Yeah. When you look at the roads, which is definitely a legacy of Mwai Kibaki, engineer.
Yeah, they were not there. And
just a minute, that is Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, the governor for Kisumu, and the former Minister for Trade, Mohisa Kitui, who went on to become the United Nations Conference
Trade and Development in Geneva,
UNCTAD, Secretary General. That was quite a high position. That is also Senator Samuel Pogisio, who was also Minister for ICT during Kibaki's time. Actually, a lot of people there, coming to Mona. That is also Amos Kimunya, who was the Minister for Finance then. And also next to him is Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi. All at the Othaya approved school, waiting for the arrival of the cortege so that they can bid farewell to a man they have known and they have admired and they have worked with for quite a long time. We were talking about the roads, and I look at that, quite a beautiful landscape there, very green, and the road is absolutely stunning. This is very, very good. Do you want to say something about that?
Yes, because you have pointed out about the road, you can see the quality of the construction of that road. One thing that President Kibaki was very particular about is getting value for money and getting, previously you would get a road which has been tarmacked and within 1 year there is no road. And he said he does not want that nonsense anymore. And also the cost of construction, when 2003, when Kibaki took over, that time, because of the corruption issues, and it's good to talk about corruption where it existed, we found that the construction per kilometer of the road was about 60 million per kilometer. So we brought it down to about 30 million per kilometer.
30.
And 30 million
so you
per
brought
kilometer.
It down by half.
By half. And also good road. Well designed and supervised, because supervision never used to be there. So by bringing the cost of construction per kilometer to 30, we were able to do more roads. And that is where we started. Our first budget, because you know you inherited a budget which was there 202, 203. The roads budget was below, the entire road was below 20 billion.
20 billion shillings.
Yes. So when we put every cost-effective measure in place, me and Raila.
And this was inclusive of the recurrent expenditure?
Yeah.
Wow.
So when we put all those measures in place, we were able to kickstart the construction. So the 203, 204 budget was doubled.
Yeah.
And we exhausted that budget, and we had to head supplementary.
Yeah.
We had Kibaki handed us more money. The only thing that he was very clear about: never give out work, and don't tender if you do not have money budgeted for that particular year and that particular road.
That is what we call prudential financial management.
Yes. So you wanted Kibaki to be on wrong footing with him. Go against that.
Yeah.
Was asked, where are you going to get money to do that road or to do that project? So he was very particular about that. The other issue I like the viewers to understand what Kibaki wanted us to do. He told us to look into why contractors are not being paid. Even when there is money, we want contracts to be paid, and paid quickly so that they can go and do more work.
Yeah.
So when in 203, I called a meeting. Raila told me, can you look into this issue, because the president wants to know why contractors are not being paid quickly. So when I called the meeting, and I said I wanted all those people who signed certificates, I want them in my boardroom. Everybody who approves payment of a certificate for a contractor. So I was surprised. 28 signatures were required to pay a certificate.
Oh,
so contractors would employ permanently people to be chasing those certificates. So in the boardroom, I asked somebody, after the resident engineer has approved and it has come to the project manager to look into whether there is any material paid on, advance payment, whatever, where does it go from there? So you find somebody say it comes to procurement. As procurement, you're involved in tender and valuation. What is it coming to do? No answer. They go to internal audit 3 times. What are you doing? So 28. So we reduced them to 6. 6 signatures.
From 28.
From 28 to 6.
So you eliminated a total of 22
signatures. So once the certificate is submitted to headquarters, then 6 signatures. And then the contractors never come to chase payment here. Wait for your money. And you were able now to do that, and contractors were able to finish their work. And the other thing that we implemented was no contractor will get 2 projects. When you get the second project, you have to be about 80% complete. So we were able to spread the work to as many contractors as possible. So there was no rush for contractors to come and get three projects, 2 projects, which they will never even implement. So that way, that's how we were able to move very fast, even in the housing sector. And also the public works. We talk roads, now public works, and even the housing sector. The same was implemented. And that is basically what the Kibaki was looking into all his ministers. Work without supervision from me. But he would know whatever was happening everywhere. The other point that I would like viewers to know, for the 5 years I was assistant minister, another 6 years when I was in Kenya, let's say when I was assistant minister, there is no one day that I got a contractor coming to my office saying that I have been sent by Kibaki to be given this work.
It's never happened?
Never. I have never gone to Kibaki's state house and Kibaki would be having a contractor saying, can you go and help this contractor? Or Kibaki would call and say, I'm sending a contractor to you. Never, not even once.
That is the man you're talking about.
So, contractors never used to go to State House to get work. They would come and tender professionally. They would be given and supervised professionally and paid.
And paid.
So that is Kibaki. Well, never. Even my minister, even Raila or Nyashai when he came, there is no time that any of them said, we have instructions from State House that we do this. So the busy bodies that are characteristic of State House that we are being sent by the president, blah blah. Those busy bodies were not there.
And the so-called hangers-on.
And hangers-on, they were never there.
I want to hear from
I think you can confirm that.
I just want to confirm that. I also want you to tell me things. Because how did we end up with unpaid bills to contractors now of more than 330 billion shillings? And Uhuru Kenyatta, the current president, has been very tough, to ministries telling them, please pay contractors for the work that they have done. How comes we never used to have that during
the short answer to that, Brian, is this. Just as President Kibaki was keen on projects being completed and money being spent, he was also as keen to make sure the tax money comes in. You just said that President Kibaki never called you about a delayed road and a delayed payment. The same thing we had from Mr. Kwaheri when he was at the Kenya Revenue Authority. You read his book, the Kenya's Tax Czar, and he was told when he took over that there's this phone which links you straight to State House. If it calls, pick it up. He says, from the day he got in there to the time he left, it never rang. Yesterday, or I think the day before, Willie Mutunga, the former Chief Justice, Dr. Willie Mutunga, was saying he never got a call throughout his tenure from President Kibaki calling him about a case. And he had said the same thing, incidentally, when he quit his tenure as Chief Justice. So you're hearing now again from a third time. The important thing is here was delegation, but also integrity. Once I give you the promise that there will be no interference on behalf of my friends, it won't happen. We have a serious problem right now on the fiscal side of macroeconomic management in our country because the tax side was hemorrhaging for a long time, not bringing in as much revenue as is consistent with the way the economy is growing. Because if the economy grows, tax revenue ought to grow on the back of it. It's called tax buoyancy by those who study those issues like that. That's one thing. The World Bank the other day was saying as much as 5% of GDP that should have come in as taxes is not there. There are reasons for it. You exempt some goods, you allow us to come in, or whatever reasons there are, and the people with care who can give you a good lesson on that, and that will be one of the answers to this. The other issues
and 5% of our GDP, which is almost 12 trillion Kenya shillings.
This is why the IMF here, and we are on an IMF program now, are insisting on tightening on tax collection and on the fiscal side and targets. Luckily, they're going up again. But we've had that history now for some past, and we're going to see. And Kenyans realize it's going to hurt, because once the IMF is coming here with conditions like that, you will see the effect of that on your daily bill when you go shopping, all of the above.
And also something else, that you have put, and first of all, on your screen, that is Kenya Kwanza members, that is Wycliffe.
That is Senator.
That is Senator Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi, who was the Minister for Finance during Kibaki's tenure. During Mwai's tenure. He was a Deputy Prime Minister during Kibaki's tenure. During the government of the coalition government.
So, that's right.
Yes, he was the Deputy Prime Minister, and together with Uhuru Kenyatta, who was then the Minister for Finance, and Musalia Mudavadi was also the Minister for Local Government.
Yes, it was in local government.
Yeah,
it became devolution.
Local government.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, I still wanted, still on that issue that you have brought about.
I think, Brian, we perhaps just a matter of an update. I think in a few minutes from now, with the arrival of such kind of guests, we now expect that the body will be there in a few. And then now that the president is also in the vicinity at Udaya Boys, he will be the person to receive the body, of course. Still remember that this is a military event, and we expect members of the military to take charge of the entire session, drawn from the Kenya Army, the Kenya Navy, and the Kenya Air Force, all in the rank of colonels, led by brigadier, taking charge of that particular event. At the graveside, the flag will be handed over to the family, and a 19-gun salute will be administered in honor of the late President Mwai Kibaki. Of course, 21-gun salute is only given to heads of state who die while in power, and that is according to the rule. And so far in the history of our nation, only a few people have been accorded state burial or funeral. To speak, we have got founding president, that is President Jomo Kenyatta, who was accorded the state funeral, and of course he was also given 19-gun salute. We have got Kijana Wamalwa, the former vice president. We have Nobel Peace Laureate, that is Wangari Maathai, who was also given a state funeral under the proclamation from the president. We have got former Nyeri governor Wahome Gakuru, who also died while in office, was also accorded a state funeral, and former First Lady Lucy Kibaki was also given a state burial, and now we have got former President Mwai Kibaki. And of course, the president can decide under his discretion who to give state burial, depending on your stature in the society, or as he so wishes, according to the presidential proclamation. So it's the situation we have. But some people say that now it's so sad that we don't have any living president in Kenya. But nonetheless, Prof, we must be thankful as a nation that we've gone through the process, and a majority of people alive today have seen the hands of 3 presidents until the 4th one today, Prof.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If you look at our neighbors, you realize we have a lot to thank God for, that younger generations are now getting accustomed to making a transition from one presidency to the next, peacefully, more or less. And this is very unusual in our part of the world. Kenyans should look at their blessings. I know we look at what is going wrong, and we should. But as you're saying, this is one of the things that we consider an essential part of our heritage. And by the way, that speaks to the tolerance of Kenyans. A lot of people here say they envy Tanzania, and they are right to say so. But look at us. In terms of transition, there may be arguments, there may be competition, but at the end of the day, when all that is done, and the process has worked its way, and the laws have worked their way, it's a good and smooth transition. And that's why you can talk about, yes, there's no living president now, but we know that when the tenure comes, there's going to be a succession, and there's going to be another government.
You sat in the President Mwai Kibaki's cabinet. Simply, what would current crop of leaders learn from you and President Mwai Kibaki's style of leadership generally?
Unfortunately, the leaders we have today, they do not want to run from us. They do not even care. They don't even care to know about Kibaki, how he ran his government. Because when you hear the leadership today addressing Wananchi and saying we do not want to know history, We don't want history.
Yes.
We want now. Now, if you do not want to know
just a minute, engineer, I think it is very important to point out that now the cottage is in Othaya town. This is Othaya town. They have just passed Monaine Primary School, which is about 3 kilometers from Othaya town. And the significance of Monaine Primary School is where President Kibaki used to cast his vote. So that is his local
polling station.
School. Polling station. As you can see, people in Othaya, lining up to say Kwaheri to their son, and that is a fact now that the cottage is just a few minutes from the final destination. That is the approved school.
Yeah, this is quite close to their heart because this is the longest serving member of parliament. They could easily talk about. They know.
And actually, the other fact is that President Kibaki goes into history as one of the longest-serving members of Parliament from 1961. 63 to 2000. 50 years as a member of Parliament.
That's a record. I don't think, because Kenyan voters vote leaders out. They don't. I don't know who is going to, any leader who is going to stay in power for 50 years.
Mwai did how many?
Mwai is probably longer because he was went in 55 and he was in Parliament right through to when he became president in 78.
In 78, and he left presidency in 2002.
Yeah.
So when you do
it's about the same, no? About the same.
So almost the same.
That's a long time. That's a long time. But when you look
at... they are close one another.
Exactly. But if you look at the track record and what they did to the society, to the country, it would easily say that, okay, fine, they were okay to be in Parliament for all that while. Understand?
So exactly.
Because somebody would say that probably we wish we had a longer period with President Mwai Kibaki. When you look at the issue of economy, we would have been somewhere else. But we don't complain so far, so good.
So what I was saying about the leadership, when you find the leaders saying they do not want to know history, now history talks about good things and bad things. So that you stop doing the bad things, you emulate the good things. So if people do not want to hear why Kibaki was the good president, so that they can be able to borrow a leaf from his style of politics, then it means now you are groveling in the dark. You do not even know where you are going. Because education never ends. And that's why you are always continuously being educated so that you can be able to be reminded where you can go wrong and where you can go right. And also, you are told what you want to do was tried sometimes, it never worked. So let us try it another way. We cannot continue reinventing the wheel, because when you reinvent the wheel, you never make progress. So that's the unfortunate status we have now of the new readers who do not want to hear anything. And me, as with all the knowledge I have and everything, I need to impact that to the younger generation and to other readers.
If you can take a look, we have the Humvees already. Chances are that the cottage probably now will be handed over to the military as we speak, because the Humvees, we saw the Humvees took the body yesterday from State House to Nyayo Stadium. And here we have the military already lined up.
Actually, they have arrived,
They've arrived.
At the approved school.
So we have the military already aligned. There you have it. The gun carriage reversing to receive the body there at the junction. We have the military already lining up. The colonels. From this particular point until the end of the session, now it's a military affair. They hand over to the military. And up to this point, we are going to see a change of program and how the protocol is going to be moved from this particular point until the end of the time. It's actually 10 minutes to 11. And we can now say that Mzee is safely home. Mzee is home now.
Exactly. the body or the cortege is actually outside the approved schools.
Right.
And for the journey that started at 7 in the morning, sharp. So it has taken them about how many hours?
4 hours.
4 hours and 50 minutes.
Almost 5 hours.
That's almost 5 hours.
But as you said, it was a plus or minus because of the stops. Probably they would have done even shorter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, but when you look at the program, I mean, it was expected that they will be here at 10.
At 10. Yes.
They're just 50 minutes behind schedule. I think they will have to do something to
the diversions
and catch up on time.
Still okay.
Yeah, it's still okay.
So the gun carriage, if you look at the gun carriage itself, it has got 2 flags. The white one is the presidential standard for President Mwai Kibaki, which he used during his time in office, and then
the Kenyan flag.
The Kenyan flag. The gun carriage, of course, will take the body to the venue, and signaling that it's now a military event, exclusive military event.
Just look at
the parade.
The military parade there.
The arrangement.
It's a combination of the Kenya Navy, the Kenya
Army,
and the Air Force. Yeah, the 3 arms of the Kenya Defense Forces.
Actually, they say that it's a full parade, consisting of 96 members of the service, led by brigadier there. So
96, you said?
Yes.
What is the significance of 96 instead of 1,000 or 20?
For them,
do you have any idea?
96 should be the full parade. And if you have a quarter parade like the one we saw at Leaf in Europe, that's a quarter parade. This is a full parade signaling a high-ranking member of the state. For example, now this is the final parade that he's getting. He's getting a full parade equivalent to his stature. He is a former commander-in-chief, and therefore you're getting that full parade consisting of the Kenya Army, the Kenya Navy, and the Kenya Air Force. So it's quite significant, and of course even the 19-gun salute. For so many people, it will be the first time to get the sound of the guns,
especially in this town.
In this town, you can imagine it's been a peaceful area.
Never seen these. I hope they are prepared.
Now, there is something that I noticed yesterday, and I don't know whether you noticed. President Kenyatta, from State House all the way to Nyayo Stadium, his vehicle never carried any flag. It was just
no.
Yeah?
Yes.
The significance that you cannot have 2 flags.
2 flags flying at the same time.
At the same time.
And of course, according to what they say, it's not President Uhuru Kenyatta's moment.
Yeah.
It is the late president's moment.
So with his flags.
His flag. So that's why we have got 2 flags. We have the other flags flying at half-mast.
Yes.
Well, the president is still there. The regime is still active, but it's not President Uhuru Kenyatta's time to shine.
So that the 2 flags cannot fly at the same time.
At the same time. The same territory.
Would we expect to see the same here?
I think so. Even if we look at the president's vehicle, when they go into the venue, it will not be having flags.
It was
just like in church.
Right.
If you have got many bishops, there is only one bishop who will have the
mace.
The mace. No other mace will be there. Yeah.
And
even yesterday, you noticed yesterday, it's only one mace which was there.
Right.
Is it the senior most or
not? Whatever it is, once you say this is the one who is going to have the mace, every other bishop will not bring the mace, and they all have the mace.
So that you don't end up with a situation whereby you have 15.
Yeah, that is now for that ceremony. You are the one. So your mace is the one that is going to. Yes.
So I'm also imagining it's the same for, because I've seen a number of cabinet secretaries here.
Yeah, they are no flags.
Their cars, you will not expect them to have flags.
But that one was a directive by the president. He said no cabinet minister, no person will fly a flag, even ambassadors, until Kibaki is buried. So that was one of the points, no flags.
It's no time for
show of might.
Yes.
There's a Nyeri member of parliament.
Right.
He has also arrived at the venue. Yes, and the CS for Interior and Coordination of National Government, that is Dr. Fred Matiang'i, is already there with the CS for Agriculture, Peter Munya. They are both saying hi to Bishop Moheria there, and as I can see there, you know, the president's team is also there making way and ensuring that you know, all the loose ends, you know, are tied as they wait for the arrival of the body of the late president. What you are seeing there is at the Othaya approved school. The casket is already here. The last time we checked, it was being shipped from the house to the, you're calling it the gun carriage?
Gun carriage, yes.
The gun carriage. And you know, I was just asking myself, I mean, this would be the same gun carriage that we saw yesterday? So probably, maybe it left earlier than the house or something?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That area.
So far, the casket is already on the gun carriage, and perhaps if you have those pictures, there you have it. It's now the marching on, the slow march with the gun carriage, and the formation. Formation is the same. Let's take a listen on what's happening there. First of all, national anthem.
Jeshi kuu wa majeshi ya ulinzi, na kama tulivyoombwa hapo awali na mwenzangu kwa mchango, tutakuwa tunasimama kwa ajili ya heshima ya wimbo wa taifa na wimbo wa Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki. Tuendelee kupata muziki. Ya unaweza nichukue sasa hivi. Yes, sir.